Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. and today we're doing a Should You Back It for Marvel, Dice Throne, X-Men, Missions, Co-op, Deadpool, all the various things. We're going to have a full Should You Back It on Marvel, X-Men, Missions, Dice Throne, Co-op, Deadpool, and all the things. But not only that, later today we're actually going to have another Should You Back It as well for The Witcher Path of Destiny, which is nice because this used to be a series that I did all the time, and now they're resigned instead to a To Back or Not To Backs, which, by the way, will be going up tomorrow. Make sure to keep your eyes and ears peeled for that, and subscribe to the channel, all those usual fun, good things. But with that, let's go ahead and dive into this Should You Back It. Marvel Dice, I keep saying Marvel Dice Throne. It's Dice Throne, X-Men, Marvel, Missions, Co-op. It's just, I mean, it's a pretty simple name. It's a pretty simple verbiage for this, but this is basically more Dice Throne content. This is more Dice Throne content to the tune of 8 new characters in the sense of the X-Men Dice Throne system. There's also going to be a separate Deadpool box that, like it or not, is coming with all the exclusive stuff in a single box. You can go ahead and get Deadpool. He's marketed all by himself and completely separately. And then we have Marvel Missions, Marvel Dice Throne Missions, I think is the correct terminology for it, and that's going to be its own separate thing that you don't need Deadpool, you don't need X-Men, you could get Marvel Dice Throne Missions, and it's worth getting even if you have, well, any Dice Throne. If you have any Dice Throne, even if you just have like 2 characters from whatever, it might be worth considering getting your hands on Marvel Dice Throne Missions. After all, who doesn't want your Moon Elf and your Barbarian facing down Thanos? Is Thanos in this? I haven't actually tracked all the characters. I don't remember all the characters in this. But either way, let's go ahead and dive into this. Oh, and then you can spend like $500 if you want to get like the acrylics and the miniatures and the everything and the sleeves and the playmats. Oh no, the playmats would actually be like another $400 for all of those alone if you wanted that. There's a lot to go ahead and get into, so let's go ahead and get to this. Starting off with the fact that this is going to be X-Men. This is going to be Marvel Dice Throne X-Men, which is going to be 8 new characters, expanding the Marvel roster, or the Dice Throne roster, to 24, 32, 34, 35, 35 characters. Is that what we're up to right now? I think I'm doing that correctly. You see, we have the first season 1 of Dice Throne, then we have season 2 of Dice Throne. All those are going to be their own separate fantasy line of characters, no IP attached to them. Then from there we have Marvel Dice Throne, bringing you up to 24 characters total, but then we also have Santa and Krampus, bringing you to 26 characters. Then we have 8 more characters of X-Men, bringing you to 34 characters, and then finally Deadpool, bringing you to a nice even 35 characters of Dice Throne, and I'm sure we are not quite done with this series. That's going to be the first thing you have in this campaign. You have 8 new characters in the vein specifically of the X-Men characters. Psylocke, Iceman, Rogue, Cyclops, Wolverine, Jean Grey, Gambit, and Storm are going to be the characters, and if you want more people, well, you might be able to get them in the sense of the ally deck, but they won't be full characters, at least not right here, not right now, not in this particular campaign. But then additionally, once we scroll past all of that, and that's going to be 8 new characters for Dice Throne. Let's give, I guess, a 30-second spiel on what Dice Throne is, for those of you who don't know. Dice Throne is a head-to-head Yahtzee-style game in which you're going to be rolling dice 3 times, aka the Yahtzee-style game, assigning them to various abilities on your player board, abilities that are designed to take your enemy's health down from 50 down to, well, 0 before they do the same to you. There's team mode, there's head-to-head, there's the free-for-all, there's a bunch of different things you could do, but the primary mode is going to be a 1 versus 1 head-to-head experience of picking 2 characters and then seeing which one of you rolls better, plays better, upgrades better, does all of that as you try to take each other down in a fun dice battling combat game. That is the core principle of what Dice Throne is, and that's a good part, but not by any means all, of this campaign. Which is where we start scrolling down to Dice Throne Missions over here. Dice Throne Missions is an opportunity to play Dice Throne cooperatively. Now this has been done before with Dice Throne Adventures, but now we have Dice Throne Missions, because Dice Throne Missions is going to be a different system. I'd love to tell you all the nuanced differences, but honestly I've read the rules for Adventures, but I haven't actually played Adventures, I just know how to play it. And Dice Throne Adventures is going to be a system where you alternate between these dungeon crawls and these boss encounters, where you cooperatively face off against the enemies. It's gotten a lot of positive reviews, and some mixed reviews as well. It's had overall, I'd say, a mixed reception. It's liked by many, and not necessarily what people are looking for by many at the same time. Dice Throne Missions is an entirely new system. It's also going to have a minions and then followed by a boss mode kind of encounter, but it's done in a very different sense. It's done with its own unique maps, these spreads that you're going to unfold. I think there's currently 16 as of right now, as of the time of this recording. There's currently 16 in the campaign. That's going to give you 16 missions that are double-sided. Face off against these minions, and then go tackle the boss. You'll pick whatever characters you want. Ideally from the Marvel or X-Men universe would be more thematically appropriate, but ultimately you can pick anyone you want. You can go ahead and pick Santa and Krampus and have them take on Claw in whatever kind of mission scenario that you're looking to have in this game. Because you could. Marvel Dice Throne Missions is completely compatible with any Dice Throne content you have. You could play with Marvel, you could play with X-Men, you could play with Season 1 or Season 2. Honestly, there's something fun about having your like Moon Elf and Barbarian or your Tinkerer and your Samurai, having them face off against whatever, you know, Mysterio or Sebastian Shaw or any of these characters is going to have its own fun little appeal as you cross and mix those genres. The gameplay, there's lots of gameplay out there you want to check out. In fact, there's a full gameplay over on this channel if you want to check out a full dive in, I believe it was Loki and Thor against Claw, if you want to see how that fared. But there's a lot of other gameplays out on the YouTube system, the Twitch ecosystem, a variety of places, a lot of gameplay if you want to see more about how Marvel Dice Throne Missions plays out. But yeah, lots of content. It's a cooperative gameplay, which you're going to have that same Yahtzee style approach against a bunch of minions as you conquer them, and then a boss as you take them down. Then from there, you're also going to have Deadpool. Deadpool's going to be his own little box with his own little miniature included. That's relevant because a lot of the other content, some of the extras, the sleeves, the upgrades, the acrylic tiles, the miniatures, are all separated out so you can make whatever decision you want as far as how to get them. But Deadpool's kind of all in one. You either get Deadpool or you don't. You don't have an option of getting just plain Deadpool. You're getting the deluxe Deadpool, which who wants to be let out of this box with his own little miniature, of which there was a little bit of a fuss around which miniature there was. For the record, by the way, I was 100% in the camp of like Bob Ross Deadpool. I totally wanted that one. I'm sad he's gone. I'm happy you're at least getting his, like, you know, standee art, but I mean, that miniature was fun. That miniature had character, but I respect the fact that sometimes, if you offer people the right to vote, you have to go with their choice. Although if the last, like, no, I'm gonna move on. I was gonna make a politics joke. We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. Anyways, from there, that's going to be everything in Deadpool. And so that's going to give you the core pledges that are being offered here. $60 for Dice Throne missions, $99 for the limited edition battle chest, and $25 for the Deadpool Box Deluxe Edition. Those are going to be the core things you're going over here. Each of them with their own little tag. Save $5, save $19, save $14. It's also worth noting before we get too far down into this, that Marvel Dice Throne or Dice Throne X-Men is going to have its own retail release. Slightly different than the Marvel release, in the sense that rather than having a 4-character box and then two 2-character boxes, they are focusing on having 2 4-character boxes available. MSRP of $49.99, but that does mean that you're going to be looking at an actual final price in the range of $38 to $42, somewhere in there, in order to be able to get all of it, which means offhand, this $99 battle chest is really being compared to around an $80 retail price on the game. Obviously, the battle chest and the retail price are different things. You're getting extra stuff here. You're getting the deluxe battle chest. You're getting the promo pack for free. You are getting extra things. But if you're looking for the cheapest, easiest way to get your hands on the new characters, getting it at retail will be the cheapest. Not necessarily the best, depends what you're looking for, but will be the cheapest to get your hands on that. Past that, I think we're going to go ahead and start. I mean, there's so many things you could do in this campaign, so many things you could focus on. The art, the presentation, the miniatures, all this stuff is just over the top as far as the deluxeification, the prettiness. But we are going to try to scroll down to the actual pledge levels and talk about those if we can over here. I'm not going to focus heavily on every aspect of Marvel Dice Throne, or Dice Throne missions. But over here, we do have the miniatures over here. These are going to be the pre-painted hero sculpts for the game. It's going to run you $45 for set 1 for the X-Men, but you also have the opportunity to get them for Marvel because those weren't released in the past. There was no reason to have them. It wasn't really compatible with Adventures in theory, although you of course could. And now, of course, with these sculpts, you can definitely cross-compatible them as much as you want. But you're going to have these sculpts over here, $90 for 2 sets, $45 per set to get your hands on the various sculpts for the past Marvel Dice set, or Marvel Dice Throne set, or alternatively for this campaign over here. We also have their acrylic tokens for $40 for the Marvel, $40 for X-Men, and $55 for missions. I don't know if you've ever seen the BGG acrylic tokens. Those are tokens that I have in my own collection. But if you're looking for your own set of acrylic tokens for the Marvel, X-Men, or missions lineup, they're going to run you $40, $40, and $55 respectively, which is a lot. It's a lot. I mean, there's nothing, you can't say anything here. There's a lot over here. We also have premium card sleeves, $40, $40, and $5. That's because there's less sleeves needed for the missions, but $40, $40, or $5 to get your hands on specific customized premium card sleeves with the character art in the background. If you want all those, again, all that adding up. We have $9 for the Marvel promo pack over here. If you want the various promo characters for Marvel itself, that's not the X-Men set, it's for the Marvel set, well, you can go ahead for $9, you can get that. For $15, you can get either of these 2 dice trays, which I do find funny how they're not just different designs in terms of visually, but like just the dice trays themselves look totally different. I wonder if that's actually intentional or not, and if so, why? Like, why not like lean into like one style? That's just more of a curiosity for myself, but either way. So $15 each for each of those dice thrones, for each of those dice trays. And then over here, $20 each for any of these various playmats with all the various art from the X-Men, from the Marvel lineup. There's going to be, looks like 20 different playmats over here, which means you're going to be spending $400 on playmats if you want one of each, which is also why they're not the gameplay all-in, or the that's not called the gameplay all-in, it's called an all-in. It's not included in the all-in on the campaign. And then over here, this is $10, but it is free with any pledge over here, with the Marvel Hero Balance Kit. This is going to be adjusting Miles Morales a little bit upwards, Thor a drop downwards, to balance out heroes from the Marvel Dice Throne set, if you want to go ahead and get that. And that will be free with, I think, like any pledge, I'm pretty sure. And then over here, we start getting to the bundles. So, This is where we're going to go into what you have over here. We have $169 for these three together. Keep in mind, these three separately would run you, I believe, $185. So you're looking at a $16 saving on all of that to get them. I believe it's 100 and then 99, or it's 100 and 60, 160 and 25 to get all of this. You're getting for $169. That saves $53, and this is true for all the bundles. That saves $53 is not necessarily true of getting them separately. Rather, it's in theory the value of them if you weren't getting them as a campaign at all. The savings you get, there are bundled savings, to be very clear. They're not as high as the saves 53 that you're looking at. That's like, well, you're saving this much by getting on crowdfunding, and also if you bundle, we'll save an additional $17 on top of that. So you're really only saving $17 compared to getting these ones separately on the campaign itself. Then we jump to $259 if you want to get all the Marvel gameplay. This is something that you might be interested in if you missed the last Marvel campaign, if you're specifically looking for that big box and you want all those characters, if you want all of that, it's going to be $259. For all the new things entirely, it's going to be the Dice Zone missions, Deadpool, it's going to be the acrylic tokens, the miniatures, all the various things over here. It's going to run you $449, and for a straight up all-in, still not including the playmats, it's going to be $599, which means if you genuinely want all the all-in of absolutely everything, including the playmats, it'll run you $1,000 for everything, and that's still not including Season 1 or Season 2 or Adventures for the Dice Throne universe. Basically, there's a lot of ways to spend money on Dice Throne. That's the short version. So, I think right about now, let's see if we can scroll through anything else. We have the various funding quests. These are some of the things that have been unlocked across the course of the campaign, from various metal tokens to new Vactray systems to more missions. The missions have been jumped from, I think it's from 10 missions to 16, but it might have been 12 to 16. Either way, the missions have been jumped, whatever the number is up to. We have various new allies being added, so you have new allies for the Dice Throne mission system, because one of the things that they have in that system is you're going to have allies you can add to your each character can get an ally. You can buy those, and so some of the many characters that you would like to see in this world are going to be added to the world, not as their fully owned playable character, but rather as allies. So there's a bunch of things. We have new box art, we have synth RPS deck for Deadpool's deck over here. Lots of things that are being slowly upgraded to the campaign across the course of those days, across the course of those stretch goals. We have the promo pack over here, where every limited edition battle chest pledged in this campaign will receive a free promo pack. We have the limited edition showing you some of the things you're getting if you get this in the battle pack, as opposed to if you get this at retail. We have the Synth Dark Phoenix overlay, we have limited edition numbering, we have the custom colored Vactrays, we have the Synth Gambit Ace cards, so a whole bunch of things being added over there. And that is basically what we have across the course of the campaign. And then of course we have the shipping over here, bringing you, $7 for Deadpool in Zone 1. For getting the new gameplay is $15. For all the Marvel things, $35, making the shipping fairly reasonable considering all these various options over here. The shipping is fairly reasonable. And then of course that and taxes. Which brings us to the whole should you back it conversation. Should you back Marvel Dice Throne? What's the upsides, the downsides, all of that? Let's go ahead and get into it. And there are two ways to tackle this conversation. The first is what will hold its value, and the second is what do I recommend, what makes sense, and those are slightly different conversations. The holding its value conversation is an easier one. If you are back in this game, if you're not sure if it's for you, what if you don't like it down the road? What if 7 months from now or 7 months after you receive it, you decide that you want to go ahead and turn around and see if you can get your money back, because as much as you've enjoyed it, it's not necessarily a game for your collection. It kind of depends on what you get. Pricing wise, if you are getting the core stuff over here, if you're getting Deadpool, if you're getting if you're getting the Marvel Dice Throne missions, if you're getting the limited edition battle chest over here, some of those things are going to do better than others as far as how they fare over time. Dice Throne missions over here is going to be available in retail, and the savings you're getting on crowdfunding versus getting it in retail is not going to be a significant difference. If you are getting the limited edition battle chests, those generally have done fairly well holding their value, not amazingly so. They're not like, you're not making money on this, but in terms of getting your money back on the various battle chests, you usually can do so in the Dice Throne lineup. It's a popular game, and people are always hunting down those battle chests, especially when it comes with the promos. They're available online. You can get these things online, but if you want those extras, if you want those promos, once you factor in shipping, once you factor in getting online, usually these things do find holding their value. Deadpool, on the other hand, is going to be a special one. Deadpool is likely going to hold its value more so than the others, similarly to the way that the Santa and Krampus one has gone completely through the roof as far as being a Dice Throne product that has completely held its value as people are seeking out Santa and Krampus. That will likely hold true for the Deadpool Deluxe Edition of this, which means Deadpool is the thing I am most confident will hold its value if you wanted that. If you're on the fence about anything and everything else, Deadpool is one that I would recommend you get your hands on, and the rest of the stuff maybe you pick up later, maybe not, who knows, who really knows. Once you factor in the savings, that's only going to be even more so. $17 isn't a lot, but when you're factoring in the fact that Deadpool already is going to hold its value, the Dice Throne the Dice Stone X-Men box set is likely going to do just fine. And then once you factor in that, sure, you're getting missions, which may not be as much, but you are saving $17 in the bundle. Again, overall, that's a good game to go ahead. It's a good price point to recommend. If you are interested in these Dice Stone contents, the new gameplay bundle is certainly one that I do think you should consider if you are interested in all this stuff from the mindset of, does it hold this value? If I want to get it, should I get it now? Should I get it later? Should I get it in the secondhand market? I think this does make sense to get. As you move up, it starts to get a harder justification. That $259 over here, so you're spending an extra $90 to go ahead and get the original Marvel set, still not the worst. Again, these battle chests do tend to do well, and so your ability to get that is not the worst. It's not necessarily the best price point either. At this point, I'd be a drop more mindful, but you will probably get most of what you paid back for it. And then from there onwards is where it starts getting much harder. Once you start getting into all the extras, the miniatures, the acrylic tokens, the sleeves, all of those things, you do get savings by getting all of these together, but they tend to be harder pledges to move. With the Dice Stone all-in content, if you look at past campaigns, you can certainly find instances of people turning around and that $500 all-in of whatever they got, trying to go ahead and get the money back. You can find instances of people doing so, but it is certainly less consistent, and there are people who are getting less than what they paid for it on a regular basis, because practically speaking, yes, we have 1,761 people over here spending $449. We have 451 spending $599. So yes, there's 2,000 people plus who are spending this much money on the campaign, but it is almost always harder to find people willing to spend that much money on all the extras down the road on the secondhand market. You are able to do so. For sure you are able to do so, but it becomes a bit harder. Once you start going into the all-ins, it's usually going to involve you being willing to sacrifice a bit more for the sake of getting rid of everything. Hey, Mr. Person on eBay or BGG Marketplace, I know I just spent $500 on this game, but I really hope you want it that much too. And sometimes the answer is yes, and other times the answer is can you do $425? I'll do it for that much. And so there's definitely much less of a guarantee as you move higher, especially into those accessories. Accessories are much more of a targeted audience as opposed to an across-the-board people wanting that for the game itself. That kind of covers the should you back it, should you not, as far as the value aspect. As far as the recommendation aspect, it is more complicated because there's a lot of ways you can spend money on Marvel Dice Stone, and some are going to be worth it to you, some are not, and depends on who you are, how often you play this game, and all of that. The first thing is I'll say the sleeves. The sleeves are incredibly cool looking for the Marvel Dice Stone universe, but they also cost a pretty penny. If you're willing to get something like Sleeve Kings or any of those, not sponsored, but I do frequently recommend Sleeve Kings, then yes, you don't get the shiny pretty backs, but you still have the card art, you still have the everything else about the systems, and so I definitely do recommend that if you are looking to save money, one of the first things you can cut is the sleeves. The acrylic tokens are nice, they are solid, they are excellent, but unless you are playing the system that much, again, it's a lot of money for an extra that is nice, but certainly not necessary. I have the acrylic tokens for Dice Stone Season 1 and Season 2, and I don't know if I always pull them out, or if I don't know if I care or notice when they're gone. They're there, they're present, they are a nice upgrade, but they are an expensive upgrade, especially if you're looking across the entire Dice Stone line of products. You're looking at $150 to $200 if you want to upgrade your entire Dice Stone system to acrylic tokens. I'm not saying they're not nice, but I am saying they are expensive. Holding their value or not, it's just a lot of money. The miniatures are tricky. The miniatures are fun, but they are primarily going to be utilized if you're playing this game cooperatively. If you're not playing this game cooperatively, or if you're not playing it cooperatively that much, they are certainly just a complete and total extra for the look of them and nothing else, and they look great, but again, you are adding $90 to the cost of your pledge, which is not a small amount of money. They also have Season 1 and Season 2 miniatures, which again are great, but only if you're using them in adventures or missions. Otherwise, there's just a lot of premium bling without necessarily needing them, and you will have full color standees you can use either way. So unless you are a hardcore Dice Stone fan, I recommend sticking to the basics. If you are a hardcore fan, I recommend, sure, go for it. I mean, if you play this game a lot, if you know you like it, and if you're going to benefit from all that, listen, at the end of the day, if it brings you joy and it holds its value, or if you know you like the system, and you can justify it, by all means do so. But unless you're in that category, I recommend sticking to a much more simple gameplay all-in, or all the new stuff or whatever. Not all the new stuff. The $159, what was it? $169 pledge level. I think that would be a good pledge level overall to focus on. But even then, you might want to skip a whole bunch of this stuff and just focus on Dice Stone missions, because if you are looking for the thing that's going to add the most to your gameplay content, but you already have an existing line of products for this game, then I would recommend missions and nothing else. Sure, Deadpool will hold this value. Sure, going, the $169 pledge will hold this value. But if you're just focused on how do I get the most bang for my buck out of this system, then Dice Stone Missions, I think, is fantastic. I do recommend it. Please note, disclaimer, that we did do sponsored content for the gameplay for Dice Stone Missions. Please take that into account. I should have said that earlier in this video. I apologize. But I think that Dice Throne missions alone is likely the best bang for your buck if you're looking to expand your Dice Throne content. If you already have Marvel Dice Throne, if you already have Season 1 and Season 2, sure, 8 new characters are fun, but they're also expensive, and all of this stuff is going to add up. If you get these 8 new characters, you also want the sleeves, and you also want the miniatures. If you really just want to add to the way you engage in Dice Throne in a way that's going to give you a ton more gameplay at the most budget option possible, then I highly recommend Marvel Dice Throne missions, possibly even not doing the campaign, possibly just at retail, and you will still be able to get a ton of more gameplay and more value out of your Dice Throne collection without breaking the bank. So will it hold its value? Core pledges, yes. As you add more, a little less so. But holding its value is not the only conversation. Sometimes it's a question of how much worth is it to you if it's just sitting on your shelf and you're not really playing enough of it anyway. Lord knows I enjoy Dice Throne. I want more characters. I want all of it. But I also know that I don't play it nearly enough to be able to justify needing 35 characters for the system. And that's your Should You Back It. Make sure to join me later today for a Witcher Path of Destiny Should You Back It if you want to go ahead and hear me both talk you into and out of that. And until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you found this video helpful. And as always, I hope you have a good one.